see how is crop variety improvement done. Now we understood that why do we need to do this. So now let us see how can we do this. How do we actually improve the variety of a crop? The technique is hybridization. So this process is known as hybridization. It is a very useful thing and it is a very important term in crop variety improvement. What is hybridization? You would have heard of hybridization in your chemistry also, right? sp2 hybridization, sp3 hybridization, you would have talked about that. So I'm sure you would have heard this term hybridization. Now just see what is hybridization in biology. It is nothing but crossing between genetically dissimilar plants. That means if we have two different plants, we cross the two plants. What do we mean by crossing? That means reproduction between two different plants to produce a third plant. So the plant which is being produced, that will not be exactly similar to plant 1. It will neither be exactly similar to plant 2. It will have some characteristics of plant 1 and some characteristics of plant 2. So now by this technique, what we can do is whatever characteristics we want in the product, so we can choose the reactants accordingly. Let us suppose this is plant 1 and this is plant 2. So we cross plant 1 and plant 2 to get some plant 3. So now we all would know what do we want in plant 3. Right? Suppose we want that this plant 3 should be of short height and the color of the plant should be green. Right? So what do? Let us suppose you have taken one short plant. This is one short plant, okay, which is yellow in color, and this is one tall plant which is green in color. Now let us suppose these are the naturally occurring plants. Naturally these plants, I mean, let's suppose I'm talking about a specific plant XYZ. So let us suppose this XYZ comes in two varieties. One is tall and green, other is short and yellow. Now let us suppose, but I want a new variety which should be tall or which should be short, but it should be green. So what do? I cross plant 1 with plant 2. So the product which we get, it will have some characteristic of plant 1 and some characteristic of plant 2. So this will be short and green. So by hybridization, what do? We actually get some characteristics of one plant, some other characteristics of the other plant. So that is how we can get our desired characteristics, right? Now this hybridization can be intervarietal, interspecific and intergeneric. So what is these varietal, specific and generic? Now when we look at the taxonomy for any plant, what do we see? That we have, like how we have our, like we spoke about the ranks of our body system, right? We said that cells are the basic building blocks. Cells will form tissues, tissues will form organs, organs will form organ system will form an organism, right? We have already studied about that ranking. So similarly here, as far as naming of scientific names of plants are concerned, we again have an order. We say that it belongs to which class, whether it belongs to, for every living organism, it is divided into two kingdoms. One is plant, one is animalia, right? So again under plant you have sub kingdoms, again under that you have something. So you have that order. Similarly in animals again you have that order. So when we look at that order, or when we look at the taxonomic order in case of plants, we find that there is something called genus. Under that genus you have something called species, and under the species you have something called varieties. So this is the order. That means if we have two plants of the same genus, they can be of two different species. Similarly, if we have two plants of the same species, they can be of different varieties. So I'm sure you're not getting everything very clearly. Let us take one example. Let us take the example of mango. I'm sure all of you would have had mango, right? So when you go to buy mango, you would have seen that there are many varieties of mango available in the market. For example, you have Alfonso, you have Himsagar, you have Dasheri, you have Bombay Green, you have Langra. You have so many different varieties of mangoes available in the market, but all of them are mangoes. It is not that one is mango and the other one is apple. They are all mango, but they are all different varieties of mango. right? So now when you look at the scientific name of mango, I mean every object, every living organism, whether it is a plant or an animal, they have a scientific name. So when you look at the scientific name of mango, it is Mangifera. Sorry, it is Mangifera. Mangifera. So Mangifera is the genus. Correct? So Mangifera is the genus. So that means all the mango varieties which you see in the market, they all belong to the same genus Mangifera. But they all belong to different varieties. Now again, under this Mangifera, you can have different species of mango. For example, one common variety is Mangifera indica. So that is a specific variety which is most commonly used. But other than that, each variety of mango which you see in the market, they will have a different scientific name. Correct? So are you understanding the point? What I'm trying to say is, for example, in rice also you have so many varieties, but all are rice. That means they all belong to the same genus, but maybe some of them belong to some different species, or maybe some of them belong to some different varieties. Now as it belongs to different varieties, so it will have some different characteristics. So now this hybridization can be intervarietal. That means it can happen between two different varieties of mango. Right? So if you take one Alfonso mango and one Himsagar mango, both of them belong to the same genus. Maybe they belong to the same species, but they are two different varieties. So hybridization can happen between two different varieties of the same species. It can be interspecific. It can also happen that you can take two objects of two different species. Maybe they are of the same genus, but they belong to two different species. So there also hybridization can happen. It can also happen intergeneric. That means between two different genus. That means let us suppose you take one mango which belongs to the genus Mangifera, and you take another apple which belongs to a different genus. So you can even do hybridization between a mango and an apple. Clear? So that means hybridization can happen at all the three levels. It can happen intergeneric between two different genus. It can happen interspecific between two different species of the same genus. It can happen intervarietal. That means two different varieties of the same species and same genus. Clear? Okay. So that is hybridization. So this is how we get our desired crop variety. So now you understand what I spoke in the last slide, that why do we go for this crop variety improvement? Because we want so many things. We want good yield, we want better quality, we want it should be resistant, it should be highly resistant to biotic and abiotic causes, it should have lesser maturity duration, and this is how we get it. We actually use hybridization. Now depending upon what we want, we decide that the crossing is to be done between which plants. Clear? Okay. So hybridization introduces desired characteristics resulting in genetically modified crops. So basically what we are doing, we are actually bringing out some modification in the same crop, right? So let us look at some examples of hybridization. When you go to the market, you would have seen that there are so many varieties of capsicum which is available in the market. You have the green colored capsicum, you have red colored capsicum, you have yellow colored capsicum, right? So there are so many different varieties. You would have often heard these terms also, that this is hybrid tomato or this is hybrid capsicum, right? So what do we mean by hybrid? That means it has been formed by a variety which was produced by hybridization. So now let us take this example of a capsicum. Let us suppose you have one capsicum which is green and which is short, because you will see that even they come in different sizes. Some are short, some are very long. So suppose you have one capsicum which is green and short, and you have another capsicum which is red in color and long, right? Now when you cause hybridization between these two, this 1 and 2, when the crossing is done between 1 and 2, maybe you get a third variety which is green and long. Or it is also possible that it is the variety which you get is red and short. Correct? So that means by hybridization you got something which was not naturally available. Correct? So this is how hybridization helps. So maybe if you think that long capsicums are better, so you cross it accordingly. Similarly, you would have seen so many varieties of citrus fruits which are available in the market. It is not only the lemons and the oranges, other than that also you have sweet lime, right? So, and you will see that they all will have different appearance. For example, when you see the oranges, so some oranges will be like which comes only in a particular season, so their looks will be different. But there are some imported oranges, you'll see that they'll be quite expensive and they'll have a very smooth surface. It will be bright orange, it will look very nice, but again it will have some different properties, correct? So there are many different varieties of every crop. So what do we do in hybridization? We actually take some of those varieties of crops and we decide what variety, what characteristics we want, and then accordingly we cross those varieties. Look at this flower. It is a hybrid lily flower. So normally if you see a normal lily flower, generally how it looks like, it is just a single color flower, right? But here you see it has got some spots, some designs on it, because it is a hybrid lily flower. That means maybe the normal lily flower was crossed with some other flower which had these kind of features. Now, as a result of that crossing, this hybrid lily flower was produced. So I hope I have been able to explain you what is hybridization. So hybridization is the main thing which actually helps us in improving the variety of crop. So we are able to generate a new variety of crop which is better, which can give better yield, which can give better quality. So for these hybrid varieties to yield better results, what is needed? It is needed that the good quality seeds are provided to the farmers who are actually involved in agriculture. So now suppose we did this crossing and we did hybridization and we developed a better quality of crop, but those good quality seeds need to be provided to the farmers, and the farmers should use the same quality of the seeds and they should germinate them under the same condition. It should not happen that they used some good quality seeds and again they used some bad quality seeds, mix them together. In that case the yield will not be good. So they should use all seeds of the same quality and they should germinate them under same condition. It is not that some of them are put under very hot weather, some of them are not given water properly. So everything should be done in a consistent manner, right? Again, crop varieties suitable for diverse climatic conditions are good. Obviously that is going to help, because as I mentioned before also, there are certain crops which grow only in rainy season. Again, there are certain crops which grow only during winter season. Now if we are able to develop crop varieties which can grow in diverse climatic conditions, that means which can grow even in summer season and also in winter season, that is the best. In that case we can grow crops throughout the year. It will not be season dependent, right? So we should try to develop crop varieties, but we should, by hybridization, we should try to come up with crop varieties which can grow in diverse climatic conditions. Crop varieties tolerant to high soil salinity are good. What do you mean by soil salinity? That means the content of salt in the soil. Now, if the content of salt in the soil is very high, that means if the soil salinity is very high, it adversely affects the growth of the plant, right? Now, if we are able to develop such hybrid varieties which are tolerant to high soil salinity, in that case what will happen, even if the salt content in the soil is little high, the crop will be able to adjust with it, right? So by improving the crop variety, what we are trying to do, we are trying to actually find out the best variety which can suit to different climatic conditions, which can suit to different types of soil and give us the best product, right? So I hope you are clear with crop variety improvement. So in crop variety improvement, our main focus was to improve the quality of the seeds or to come up with new improved quality of crops. So we will now talk about crop production.